There is a secret homing mechanic in Tekken 8. In fact, it has been around since at least Tekken 7. These are not within the in-game tutorials. The English-speaking community doesn't even have a name for them. These are top secret and I will reveal them to you today.
Homemade soup.
In Tekken, homing moves are special moves marked with 2 cyan trailing lines. Their purpose is quite simple. You are no longer able to move around these moves if it's within the range of the attack, no matter what. This secret mechanic shares the same ability. But first, let's talk about concepts that are often confused with the concept of homing. These are white streak attacks, pseudo homing moves, realigning attacks, and plus frames are too damn high. Sorry, the game doesn't really have a name for these either, so I made it up on the spot. Let's get into it. Tekken 8 has introduced dedicated moves that tracks one direction, Harry Styles, whether it is to your left or to your right. These are marked with a translucent white streak. For example, Lars back 2 perfectly tracks sidestep left, and Lars up forward 1 does the same for sidestep right. On the move list, the description would explicitly mention if a move has this property or not. But these only guarantee tracking to one direction and not the other, so they are not homing moves. There are some moves that we can call pseudo-homing moves, or simply moves that are really difficult to sidestep, perhaps impossible for some characters to step them under most normal gameplay conditions. Examples are Yoshi down forward 2+3 and Clive back 2. But if you test these moves under specific scenarios, you'll find out that they are not really homing after all. They just happen to have really good tracking properties to both directions. But in occasional cases, you might be lucky enough to step them where you wouldn't be able to if they are indeed homing moves. Realigning attacks is simply delaying your own attack when you predict an opponent is going for a sidestep or a sidewalk. This works because the most evasive part of the sidestep or a sidewalk is limited to the first few frames of the step. Once this period expires, the evasion of the sidewalk becomes limited, and thus your moves are able to connect normally. But this technique obviously does not replace the catch-all function of a proper homing move. That's because someone delaying their attack can lose to someone delaying their sidestep. That just makes sense, doesn't it? Very quickly on the last one, so sometimes moves can appear homing, but they're not really homing because they are. It's just because the opponents can't move around that attack anymore under certain frames. Most of the time because they are under too much frame disadvantage. For example, Jun's back 2 becomes homing in quotation under +5 in most scenarios. But again, if you pick someone like Lily, you can see that these are situationally homing and may not work all the time. Okay, so what is the secret homing mechanic? And I guarantee you they are homing like a real homing move, no exceptions. Lily can't walk around them. Well, I guess it's called the +8 or more homing exception, but that's quite a mouthful, so I'd call it the merchant move because that's what my circle of friends call it. So these merchant moves are normal moves in usual operations of the games. They're not homing moves, but they turn into real homing moves when the person attacking is +8 or more. One really good example of this is King down back 2. At +7, you can even see Jack step it to his back. But at +8, Jack can no longer do this. In fact, this is also true if you select a character with average movement like Shaheen. If you still don't believe me, you can see this happen to Lily as well. Lily herself is an example of a character with really good application of merchant moves. Lily's down forward 3 is a 20 frame attack that puts her opponent at +8 on normal hit. Down forward 3 is also a merchant move, therefore she can loop it on hit. Another Lily move with the merchant property is forward 4, which is a 17 frames attack, which is of course a big counter hit mid-frame trap at +8. So in theory, when Lily is +8 or more, she's able to lock you down with a homing plus frame mid attack, and then if you want to interrupt this move, she has a homing mid counter hit launcher? I feel like that's a little bit broken, don't you think? But once again, both moves are only homing at minimum +8. When she's at +7, those moves lose their homing properties completely. From my personal testing, most heat smashes have this property as well. In other testing, I've never found a move with a forward or a while running input or a QCF or QCB input to have this property. Generally, it's only moves with simple directions that can somehow acquire this property. There are some patterns as to which moves can have them or not, but nothing that is actually conclusive. This property is also not limited to mid, highs or lows. Other patterns that I've found is that this property never seems to be applicable to charge versions of moves. I've also never found another jumping attack with this property outside of heat smashes and Leroy up forward 2. Also very important to note, the homing property is only applied on the first active frame of the attack. If the merchant move is a forward advancing attack with multiple active frames, then if the opponent is too far away beyond the distance of the first active frame of the attack, the homing property may not work. On the screen, at very rapid pace, is an example of a merchant move for every character in the game. Ready? Go! So what is the significance of this mechanic? Well, that depends on how good the move is when it has the merchant property. For example, Fang down forward 3 is a 17 frames launching attack that's safe, and at +8 it is guaranteed to beat most retaliations. But this doesn't change the game, right? What is even the application of this? I mean, how often are you even at +8 really? That is a very good question. From an attacking point of view, most +8 can be set up by confirming one jab on hit or doing your 1-2 punishment. So you can set up quick jabs or quick punishment into merchant attacks that are more rewarding than, let's just say, a poke or a small move that tracks both directions at massive frame advantage. Other examples would be hit stuns like Ballerina that leaves you at +8 or more. The concept here is similar, but there may be even less things that can interrupt you. The real secret is that you are more often +8 from a defensive position when the opponent puts themselves in a -8 position. If you are a frame data specialist, then you can use your knowledge against the opponent when you block certain moves. For example, moves like Victor 1+2 and Steve Swindler. Another great application of this is when you are +8 or more, but there is massive pushback between you and your opponent. Perhaps normally you have no good options here that can reach the opponent, but also track them both directions. But now with this mechanic, you can possibly do both. I am very excited to hear your findings about what merchant moves you will discover. You can leave a comment or join the Discord to talk about them at length, or if you have questions about them. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe for more content like this. And in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Alright. So we made it to the end of another video here. I guess I should give you guys something for sticking along so far. So you know this thing, it acts like a homing move, sort of, not exactly, I kinda lied a little bit, but mostly it does under specific conditions. Do you know it also works against side swing blows? So you know it works on Lily's sidewalk, right? But it also works on side swing blows, like this move, you know? This move is like really annoying. Even at +5, it's like really hard to pin down. But with this mechanic, look at that! Completely tracks it, right? So it also works on side swing blows. In fact, it works on all of them as well. Leo's side swing blow, the one that ends with a high. Hwoarang's back one, the mid one, Fang's and Jin's, they work on those as well. But especially, it works on weaves. It works on both of them actually. So I'll show you here really quickly. And it's really cool, because weaves are also really hard to pin down sometimes. But now with this move, with this mechanic, you can kind of just do this quite easily. So I think that's kind of nice. Anyway, that's pretty cool, right? Now get a life.